All right, let's jump right into it. In the world of trading, most people think the biggest risks are on the charts, the wild price swings, the volatility. But they're not. The real risks, they're in your head. So today, we're going to dive into the absolute foundation of trading survival. We're talking 3 core pillars that everything else is built on. And let me tell you, if you get these right, you're already way ahead of 90% of the market.
And this quote right here, this is the absolute heart of it all. See, most people think trading is about predicting the future, but the real game, it's about mastering the chaos inside your own mind. And this isn't some technical skill you learn once and you're done. No, this is a mental battle you have to fight every single day you're in the market.
Look, let's be honest, we all get into this with a dream, right? We're picturing financial freedom, a better future, that peace of mind. But for so many people, the reality is just this gut-wrenching spiral of losing money, getting tossed around by fear and greed, and ending up with totally broken confidence. So the big question is, how do we bridge that gap? How do we get from that harsh reality to the dream? Well, it all starts with the most fundamental rule of all.
Okay, rule number 1, and this is completely non-negotiable. Protect your capital. Seriously, think of this less like a rule and more like the prime directive for your entire trading career. Why? Because without capital, you're out of the game. You don't even get a chance to learn how to play.
No, what's really important here is to change how you think about your capital. It's not just a number on a screen. It's the result of your hard work. It's the foundation for your dreams. I love this analogy. It's the roots of your financial tree. And if those roots are deep and strong, you can handle any storm the market throws at you. But if they're weak, the slightest breeze can knock the whole thing over. You got to guard it with everything you have.
And that brings us to a super crucial idea. Your main goal isn't to hit a home run every single day. It's just to survive so you can come back and trade tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Longevity in this game is the victory. Profitability is born from simply surviving long enough to learn. So how do we guarantee we survive? Well, this quote just says it all. Your stop loss, that's your parachute. I mean, would you ever jump out of a plane without one? Of course not. So why on earth would you enter a trade without one? It's the one thing that saves you from yourself, from your ego, from that dangerous little voice that says, it'll turn around. It protects your capital so you can live to fight another day.
Okay, let's move on to our second pillar. Once you've got your defense locked down, it's time to go on offense. But we're not talking about just gambling and throwing Hail Marys. We're talking about playing a strategic game, finding those opportunities where the odds are stacked way in your favor.
And this question right here, this is what instantly separates the beginners from the pros. An amateur sees a huge potential reward and gets mesmerized. A professional's very first thought is, okay, that's great, but what's my risk? What could I possibly lose here? They always start with a risk.
And here it is, the simple math that professional traders live and die by. Every single trade you take must have the potential reward be much bigger than the risk. You should only be putting your money on the line if the potential win is a multiple of what you could lose. Think about it. If you're risking $1 to potentially make 3, you can be wrong 2 times, be right just once, and still come out ahead. That's not luck, my friends. That is the simple arithmetic of a long-term trading career. So, where do we find these amazing opportunities? Well, the highest probability trades almost always come from going with the market's momentum, not trying to be a hero and fight it. You've probably heard the saying, the trend is your friend, but really it's more like the trend is the path of least resistance. Your job isn't to predict what's going to happen, it's to see what's happening right now and just flow with it.
I love this way of thinking about it. Imagine the market is this big, powerful river. You can try to swim against that current, but you're just going to get exhausted and end up going backwards. So what's the smart move? First, you figure out which way the river is flowing. That's your trend. Then, you just jump in and swim with it. The current does most of the heavy lifting for you. Resisting that urge to fight the flow is probably one of the toughest but most profitable skills you can ever learn.
And that brings us to our third and maybe the hardest rule of them all. You can have the best capital protection in the world, you can have a genius strategy, but both of those are totally worthless if you can't control the most volatile part of the whole equation, you. The real battle isn't on your computer screen, it's right between your ears.
So, meet the 4 horsemen of your account's apocalypse. First up, you got fear. Fear will paralyze you. It makes you watch a perfect trade setup just sail on by. Then there's greed. Greed is that little voice that whispers, just a little more, let it run, right before your awesome winning trade turns into a loser. Then there's impatience. This one's sneaky. It pushes you into trades that aren't quite ready, just because you feel like you have to be doing something. And finally, maybe the most dangerous of all, overconfidence. A couple of wins in a row and you start to think you're a genius, which is usually right before the market gives you a very, very expensive lesson in humility.
So when you boil it all down, every single time you click that mouse, the decision is coming from one of two places. Is it an impulse? That's your emotions talking. It's chaotic. It's basically a gamble. Or is it your plan? That's logic. That's structured. That is a repeatable strategy. As a trader, your one job is to consciously choose the plan over the impulse every single time.
So here's a practical tip. Before you ever hit buy or sell, just stop. Take one deep breath and ask yourself this brutally honest question. That one little pause, that's your firewall. That's what stands between a disciplined, professional decision and a really costly emotional mistake.
You know, success in trading isn't some destination you arrive at. It's a process. It's a constant loop of getting better. You start by planning your trade down to the last detail. Then, the hard part, you execute that plan like a robot with no emotion. After, and this is so important, you review what happened, win or lose, to figure out the lesson. And finally, you take that lesson and you use it to make your strategy even better. That's the cycle. There is no finish line.
And this is exactly how you have to start looking at your losses. A loss is not a failure. It's tuition. You're paying the market for a very valuable education. But here's the catch. That tuition is only worth it if you actually learn the lesson. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, that's not learning. That's just a really expensive habit.
And at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about. These three pillars, protecting your capital, playing with a strategic edge, and mastering your own mind, they're the bedrock of survival. Look, the market is going to do whatever the market is going to do. It's this huge impersonal force that doesn't even know you exist. The only thing in this whole equation you have 100% control over is you. So the final question isn't, what's the market going to do next? The real question is, are you ready? Are you prepared to do what needs to be done with discipline to still be here when it does?